Welcome once again. I'm Charlie Greenberg, your host and moderator for Digital Business Demos. Thanks for joining us today as we continue to provide live business demos that focus on different digital transformation and platform strategies, and in particular, demonstrate different components and products within Software AG's digital business platform. Today, we're introducing our app warriors who will discuss and demo Software AG's cloud deployment, which simplifies the lives of developers by offering a direct path to the cloud. To explain in detail, we'll be hearing from Anne-Marie Bond, our Senior Web Methods Product Marketing Manager, and Anne-Marie will be joined by Product Manager Paul Fisher, who will be delivering today's live cloud deployment demo. But first, a little bit about Software AG in general. Software AG, as you may know, has been around almost 50 years and for the most part has consistently been recognized as a customer-centric leader in many innovative and digital technology categories, both on-premises and in the cloud. Additionally, we have more than 4,800 employees, $1 billion in annual revenue, and we can cite over 70% of the global 1,000 as customers. And those customers include well over 2 million developers at leading organizations who have adopted Software AG products, whether that be APIs, B2B integration, IoT capabilities, to innovate solutions and build applications cross-industry, cross-private and public sectors, and who rely on Software AG to help them complete their journeys as digital enterprises through the end-to-end capabilities of the digital business platform. As usual, we hope you will participate in our Q&A at today's session, at the end of today's session, and please use, to do so, the Q&A box at the bottom left-hand side of your screen. And with that, it's my pleasure to now introduce Anne-Marie Bond.
Thank you so much, Charlie. It's a pleasure to be here and talk to my app warriors out there. App warriors, also known as professional developers, have many challenges in today's world, and a lot of them come from how the market and the business is changing. In conversations with our customers, we hear about how business leaders are now looking to IT for differentiators to stay ahead of the market. They want to reduce time to market. They want to use fewer resources, and these changes are driving business initiatives that are in turn making new demands on app developers and IT in general. Businesses are identifying new channels they want to explore to open up new lines of business. They're connecting with lots of new partners and ecosystems to be able to react to market pressures quickly. I call this disrupt or be disrupted. If you don't have the flexibility to add these capabilities quickly, you fall behind. The massive increase in social and mobile has created a demand for new business apps that use big data and scale for consumer-facing APIs and solutions. In fact, the bar for consumer experience is much higher now. Internally, IT is getting pressure to reduce infrastructure and maintenance costs by moving to the cloud. But this is a big effort. Do you redevelop everything? Do you learn new tools? You need to explore new vendors, new technologies, and all of that is in addition to what you're already doing. And of course, the internet is 24/7. Big releases are a thing of the past. The new normal is short-term, fast-fail apps. But many traditional systems of record, all of our mission-critical ERP systems, CRM systems don't support this. This creates obstacles that make these goals difficult to achieve. What are some of the obstacles that developers experience? Well, the first one is inflexible architectures. Traditional applications don't scale well and are difficult to connect to new capabilities. Sometimes they don't support deployment models, modern deployment models that are hybrid. You need distributed web-style architectures to address some of the new requirements that are coming from the business. Technical debt, which is also known as the requirements you didn't know you had when you implemented the system in the first place, can be crushing. There are more endpoints, SaaS endpoints, partners, APIs, new technologies like IoT and blockchain that you need to connect to, and maybe you don't have the capabilities to connect to those. You need to add those. You don't have time to redevelop or refactor your existing applications to address the new technology requirements, and the maintenance, upgrades, and fixes just consume resources. And all of this technical debt can become a large percentage of your development resources, which limits what you're able to do to address market and competitive requirements. There's a nonstop onslaught of new technology and vendors out there. You need to be able to research them. You need to be able to adopt them, train your developers on these new technologies, and transition to these new products and tools. And of course, you do that with resource bottlenecks. You do that with ad hoc developers that maybe have different skill sets and don't necessarily have the right tooling. And the continuous delivery cycles are very demanding. The time to delivery is rapid and iterative, and our traditional systems of record don't support this. What you need is an arsenal of new tools. Capabilities like, for your technical debt, being able to migrate existing services easily. Free your professional developers to deploy what they've already built on premises or in the cloud easily. For your inflexible architectures, you need to have hybrid cloud integration platforms that enable seamless digital business with connected business models, so you can expose your valuable data and services in web and mobile and API contexts. For the new channels that the business is requesting, you need social and mobile applications. And integrated API management allows you to provide those experiences that improve your customers' interaction with your company and make them happier with the customization and the personalization they're able to receive. For rapid development and delivery of new business applications, you need tools to rapidly deploy to scalable environments where it's very easy to scale up and scale down with the seasonal changes or other requirements that have peaks and valleys. For continuous delivery, you need tools that are easy to integrate with your DevOps tooling and provide CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development. And for your resource challenges, you want to be able to have the maintenance and the fixes just handled, right? You shouldn't have to worry about those things. Let somebody else do it. And all of this has to happen across the cloud, on premises, and in hybrid architectures. Now, professional developers have an iPaaS option, which addresses many of these challenges. Our new cloud deployment option with Integration Cloud allows professional developers to use Designer, Software AG's full-featured professional development environment, to develop and deploy integrations into Software AG's Integration Cloud. And the way it works is they can develop new integrations in Designer, or they can point to existing integrations, and then they can reduce their technical debt by gradually migrating those on-premises services, packages, APIs, and solutions to the cloud. There's a built-in capability to just promote them to a cloud landscape in Integration Cloud. For your inflexible architectures, this hybrid cloud integration enables a seamless digital business with connected business models for the web, for mobile, for APIs. You can deploy these existing on-premises integration to the cloud on demand. First, you create a landscape, and then you're able to just select that landscape and deploy it. If you want to connect with on-premises resources, you can use a VPN to securely connect back to your defined endpoints. And for resource reduction, all of these things are managed. The applications, the stages, the assets, they're all managed in the cloud. You don't have to worry about fixes. You don't have to worry about upgrades. You can migrate your packages from one stage to another very easily using just a drag and drop technique. And you can monitor everything that's happening with out-of-the-box dashboards. And all of this is running on WebMethods Integration Cloud, a powerful SaaS application platform that's available out of the box. So let's do a deep dive into how this actually works. You would start by looking at your Software AG Designer, and of course you can see all of your existing integration server packages and services. You can see the messaging that's been set up to work with your applications, and those assets stored as local assets can be published to the cloud just by securely connecting to a cloud landscape. Take advantage of these SaaS connectors to all major cloud apps to get connectivity to applications like Marketo, Salesforce, Amazon Web Services, Google Apps, and of course you can also use a VPN connection to get connectivity back to your on-premise apps if you want to pull some of that valuable data from your systems of record into your cloud applications. You can continue to use all of the pre-integrated testing, debugging, version control tools you're already using on premises for your DevOps. And Integration Cloud handles all the upgrades, maintenance, and fixes for you. So once you get to Integration Cloud, you can see that we have several different stages. You can provision a landscape into each stage, and that landscape can include an integration server, it can include universal messaging, you can have clustered integration servers, and you can promote services that are Flow services, Java services, and when you promote them to a landscape, those cloud assets can then be dragged and dropped from one landscape to the next. So it's very easy to migrate from dev to test to QA to live, for example. Finally, the Cloud Management and Monitoring UI allows you to see what's happening with built-in KPI-based dashboards for infrastructure monitoring and service visibility. We even have a REST API so you can extract those analytics to use elsewhere. So now I'm going to hand it over to Paul to show us how to do this cloud deployment in 4 simple steps. The first thing he's going to do is create a tenant landscape in Integration Cloud. And then he's going to take these services and packages that are in Designer. You can create new ones or you can point to existing ones. And he'll deploy these assets along with their configuration to this cloud tenant landscape that's been created. Step 4 is just to look at the solution that you promoted to the cloud and monitor the infrastructure and services. So Paul, would you like to show us a demonstration?
Yeah, thanks for that, Anne-Marie. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, you should now be seeing my environment here. So thanks again, Anne-Marie, and hello, everyone. So we start our cloud deployment journey here in Integration Cloud. With cloud deployment enabled in your tenant, the first thing you'll notice here at the top right is our app switcher. So the app switcher allows you to change between different Integration Cloud products. Today it supports the cloud deployment product, but in the future we're going to add more capabilities to this app switcher to include a lot of our SAG cloud products, like our API Cloud, which has both the API gateway and the portal, so you can seamlessly move through these applications via our web UI here. Moving over to cloud deployment, as an integration developer or IT admin, I would first create what's called a solution. A solution is a collection of runtimes which represent your integration landscape. Out of the box, we offer 3 choices for your cloud landscape. The first landscape here on the left is a standalone integration server, which is supported by Terracotta for clustering of this integration server. Next up, we feature 1 integration server and a universal messaging runtime, as well as our Terracotta DB. And then our third landscape here is an integration server, a universal messaging layer, followed by another integration server. And this landscape here is a really popular one. If you use integration server here to host your APIs, sort of the front end, that would leave a message request here to our universal messaging layer, which will be picked up by a second integration server to actually do the execution and movement of data. So we provide these landscapes out of the box. In the future, we'll be bringing capabilities to describe and design your own landscape instead of using our pre-built ones here. To create a landscape, I would simply choose, I'll choose this middle one here, which includes a integration server and universal messaging server. Hit OK. And I'll be able to configure this environment via our web UI. So I'll give each resource a name. I will assign the resource capability to that runtime. So here I can choose between my cores and memory size. And that is both for integration server and So once I'm happy with this configuration, we'll go ahead and save. For now, I have one already completed. And with this request comes into our integration cloud, and via our Kubernetes orchestration layer, we set up these runtimes for you in a managed cloud environment. And really the advantage there is I no longer have to worry about upgrades. Our cloud operations team, as a part of our integration cloud, handles a lot of the upgrades and ensuring that these runtimes are healthy, they're monitoring, and they're running appropriately. This is a huge benefit of our cloud offering. You'll see here I've clicked into the solution and we have a view to browse these assets. So with my cloud landscape in place, I would now like to kind of move over to my on-premises environment. Here, running locally on this VM, I have Designer. Included here also is integration server, which I have in my VM as well. And this is my professional development environment. So I'd like to take you through deploying a simple package to the cloud. I'm going to use a really straightforward and simple flow service that I'd like to demo, just to give you an overall feel of the user journey to move a package to the cloud. So to illustrate this point, I'm going to first create a package in my Designer, give that a name, finish. I'll go ahead and add a folder. And in this folder, I'm going to create a flow service. Let's call it flow service 1. And as part of this flow service, I'm going to invoke a simple function in our public folder. Under public, I have a simple function under the math folder where we'll just pull in this add-ints. And what add-ints does is it takes a number value, you add it here. It'll take a num1 value. It'll take a num2 value, add the two together, and give me a simple output of the two added together. So very simple flow service, which now I have saved. So with this in place, we can now move this workload to our solution that we created in cloud deployment. To do that, it's really straightforward. I'll right-click the package, and I'll come down here to deploy to cloud. But before I do this, there's one important setting I'll need to set. Up here under Window and Preferences, you'll want to first let Designer know of your integration cloud tenant. So here under the integration cloud setting, I click my integration cloud tenant, You will want to supply the name and your tenant URL. So this is the subdomain of the specific tenant that I own. So put in your cloud deployment URL, as well as the administrator username and password. And giving a quick test of those credentials, we can see here that we've successfully verified this account. With this connection in place, we can now use this deploy to cloud option by right-clicking the package and selecting deploy to cloud. Here I have had my package selected already by virtue of right-clicking that specific package. What you'll see here is we can also include the runtime configuration as a part of this movement into the cloud. So if you use Command Central today to manage your runtime configurations, you can easily connect with Command Central to bring those configurations over as you deploy this package to your cloud landscape. We can go through this in a later demo if you're interested in seeing how this works. I hit next here and we give you the opportunity to do any kind of variable substitution for that specific flow service before moving this package to the cloud. So if there's specific configurations that you want to have set cloud environment, you can perform this variable substitution here. And the final screen here, I'll want to choose the solution to deploy this to. Now I can have one or many solutions as a part of my cloud environment. So I just have one, which is called Demo Project that we have here, and I'll click Finish. Now what happens is Designer will take this package and it will deploy it to an asset repository in Integration Cloud, which will be used to feed various stages of this solution. And you'll see here I have an asset repository view as a part of Designer, and I can refresh this view. And I should see now we have both our local IS instance, and here we have our Integration Cloud. And we can, via Designer, explore the assets in our Integration Cloud. So under the Cloud IS that I've provisioned, here's Integration Server, and you'll see this new package, DBD package, has been deployed to the cloud. So we've kind of verified that deployment locally in my environment here, and I'd like to move back now to cloud deployment. So if I come back to my solutions, which shows a list of all of my solutions, here's my demo project. I'll select that. And in the cloud, we give you a really similar UI to Designer, where you can browse these assets. So on the left-hand side is our folder view for each of the runtimes that are a part of this landscape. So in this landscape, we had one integration server and one universal messaging. So I've selected my cloud integration server, and you'll see here that I can as well browse the flow service packages here. So I just stepped through the UI to select this flow service, and you'll see that we represent this add-ins flow service via the cloud UI here. And what we use is our very clean block-like representation of that flow service via the Integration Cloud. And we can do a number of things here. We can test this flow service execution in the cloud by providing an input. Today, this flow service is read-only as a part of our Integration Cloud development in cloud deployment. In a future release, we'll also be able to edit this package via our web UI as well. But like I said, today it's read-only, and we'll be adding that sophistication a little bit later. So now that this flow service is in our Integration Cloud, we can go ahead and test that flow service by executing it via a URL. So you'll see here that I have my Integration Cloud deployment URL here, and I'm invoking this service. So I just want to show you a quick demo here. if I put this into the browser, I have passed through via a query parameter 2 nums. Maybe we can change this to 4. And this service is properly running and giving me an output value of 7. So we've taken an on-premises flow service, we've pushed it to the cloud, and I just kind of verified here that this is in fact executing in our cloud environment. Now coming back to the solution view here, if I were to change my role into more of a DevOps persona, IT operator, or maybe even your integration developer, we offer a number of DevOps capabilities that we wrap around this service to make sure that we give a lot of transparency into your solution landscape. So the first DevOps capability I want to show you is this ability to deploy packages between stages. So here we have this deploy option. Now, right now my context that I'm viewing this cloud deployment in is in this development view. So let's go ahead and oops, just a minute. Refresh that, sorry about that. Okay, going back to cloud deployment. Right now I'm viewing this solution list in the context of my deployment environment. We offer 4 deployment environments, up to 4 rather, stages which we can deploy solutions to. So I'm going to change my context to the test stage, submit, and you'll see here that I have a solution already pre-configured in my test stage. For each test stage, you'll want to provision your solution landscape in that specific stage. So now, if I click into this asset browser, these are the packages that are deployed in the test environment. And if I come to deploy, I can easily pull or promote these packages from the development environment to my test environment. So let me give you an example of that. Here we have our DBD package that we created on premises. I've selected that and I'd like to promote that now to the test stage. I can perform any variable substitution I need for that package movement. Here I don't have a lot of configurations here, so I'm just going to simply save and promote. And via our web UI, you can promote that package to our test environment. So if you're doing any kind of validation in this environment, where you have workflows to move it between different stages, run your test suite on this test environment, this is a really great way to promote packages between stages. So today this is this is very much UI driven. In the future, we're going to give developers more tools via an API to integrate with your existing CI/CD process to automate this provisioning process between stages, so we can connect right into your CI/CD pipeline. So that's a quick demo of promoting packages between stages and ensuring that you're in the correct context. So I'll move back to the development context and choose my package. I'd also like to show you here at the very bottom, manage. Here we give an overview of the landscape that I've deployed in cloud deployment, the services names, all the configuration options that I've chosen. But what's really powerful here is that we've brought the integration server admin screen to the cloud UI. So if you want more granular control over the administrative settings of integration server, you can do that here via this manage panel. And this is the integration server administrative screen of the IS engine running in our cloud. So this gives you a lot more control over how that IS operates in our managed cloud. And then if you need some more control over restarting these applications, we give you that ability via the UI as well. So we've walked you through exploring these assets in the cloud environment, deploying them between stages, administrating the integration server. I'd like to take you over now to the monitoring capabilities. So if you have an outage, if you have a flow service which is taking on a lot of requests, we give you a really transparent view of both the service execution of integration server and the infrastructure monitoring of this landscape. So we want a holistic view of how the health of your landscape that you've deployed in our cloud. And we start first with an overall dashboard to kind of give you that view. As a part of our monitoring capabilities, we also bring this idea of KPIs. So you can custom define some KPIs that are important to you, like monitoring the memory of this integration server. And if this KPI is triggered, we will automatically send you an email alert to start your sort of RCA activities. So working down the list here, I have a solution view, which gives you a clear outline of the memory, uptime, any runtime failures for your specific solution. So right now I just have one solution deployed. This is an overall sort of health view. And if I click into the details, we have these out-of-the-box dashboards that we've built to show you a lot of the runtime monitoring, the infrastructure health. So here we have memory usage, service threads, sessions that are happening, CPU usage. So this gives you a nice output of how that infrastructure is running. Under the services section, we will have here the execution results of the integration cloud, the integration server flow services. So we're tracking the success and failure rate of how well those services are running, as well as some general uptime statistics in the event that one of these runtimes gets into an unhealthy state. Here this is where we configure the alerts as a part of our monitoring for those KPIs. So should a KPI get triggered, you can see those critical warning or informational alerts here. And we offer a number of KPIs sort of out of the box. So if the session usage is high, you can set the threshold value for that KPI to trigger and email a administrator of when that threshold is hit. So this alerting section will give you a nice overview in case that any of these critical alerts have been triggered. And then finally, we are starting to centralize a lot of the runtime logs into a single view so that you have just one place to go for your RCA type activities. We're taking the logs from IS, and we're kind of centralizing that into one log area. And this kind of wraps up our overall sort of monitoring capabilities. So I think, as you can see, this really gives me as an integration developer full control over a landscape that is managed in the cloud. It just really opens up my ability to deploy integrations quickly in a service that's really going to be reliable and has the right tools to ensure that I can make sure that those runtimes are healthy and running appropriately. So with that, I'd like to kind of switch back to Anne-Marie.
Thanks, Paul. That was great. I really like seeing how, in the cloud, not only do you get this really easy service and package deployment, really seamless, but the number of options that you have out of the box. You don't have to go out and, configure Docker and Kubernetes. You just choose from these predefined landscapes, decide how many integration servers you want, decide if you want it clustered, decide if you need universal messaging, and then all you're doing is just deploying it straight to the cloud. I also was really impressed with the monitoring piece, like having those monitoring KPIs and alerting. That gives me confidence in the stability of my services and my ability to, react quickly when something happens, whether it's, something on the back end where a system that I'm using is inaccessible, or, some kind of, overload on the service. It's really important to have that monitoring piece to give you confidence in, being able to have that continuity of service. So, have we switched back to my screen yet?
You're ready to go. You just need to share your deck.
Oh, thanks. I'll do that. So Paul showed us how you can create a tenant landscape in Integration Cloud using kind of predefined patterns, but defining your own scale, right? So you can choose how many integration servers. And he showed us how you can build your services and packages in Designer. You can build Java services. You can use all of your pre-integrated tooling, and then very simply just choose from a drop-down to promote them. He showed us how you can deploy those assets and configuration to the tenant landscape. And in fact, when you're migrating from one landscape to another, how you can modify the configuration, because each landscape might have some different characteristics. And then lastly, he showed us how to monitor the behavior of the solution in the cloud. So what do our app warriors, our professional developers, get out of this? Well, I classified their benefits in two main categories. The first one is around cost reduction, right? Total cost of ownership, those challenges to IT to figure out how to reduce resources and reduce cost. So by being able to deploy directly to the cloud, reducing that on-premise infrastructure maintenance, you no longer have to worry about fixes, patches, upgrades, so you're freeing up resources that are handling those to work on new projects and new solutions. You're able to monitor the health of your environment and service performance out of the box, no additional monitoring tools required. And you're able to scale on demand if you have seasonal changes, and that includes scaling up and scaling down. So you don't have to have 100 servers out there for your peak times. Instead, you can have 10 servers most of the year and then 100 servers during the part of the year that you need more capacity. The other category is around new capabilities for professional developers, for app warriors. You can develop new and existing services and APIs and deploy them to the cloud on your timeline. Remember that when you're developing a service and integration server, it's very easy to transform that to an API just with the click of a button, and now to promote that API to the cloud and make it available to consumers on the web. You can use a development environment that's pre-integrated with test and versioning tools for DevOps, the same one that you've always been using. It's sophisticated, it's advanced, and you don't have to change. And you can use advanced capabilities in integration server like high-performance Java services, universal messaging, and IS clustering. And of course, once you're in the cloud, you can integrate with SaaS apps at lightning speed using our SaaS connectors. So you can leverage all of the integration, all of our existing integrations. How do you get started? Well, you can learn more by going to our Software AG Cloud website, select integration, and you'll be taken to the page that covers everything integration related. And you can contact us. My name is Anne-Marie Bond. Paul Fisher was the demo god, our product manager. And now I'll pass it back to Charlie for questions and answers. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, they do, Anne-Marie. And Paul, thank you very much for the presentation and also for sharing with us your Q&A transformation. Appreciate that in the spirit of the App Warrior. So let's start with, if I have Java services on Integration Server, can I deploy them to the cloud?
Yes. I think that question might have come in before I talked about it. Yes, you can. If you have those Java services you've developed that are reused multiple places, that are sort of core high-performance services, you can deploy them to the cloud.
And what versions are supported at this point? 10.3, later?
I'll let Paul answer that.
Yeah, we support version 10.3 and later for our on-premises IS and Designer.
When you create a solution, does it create all the environments, pre-live, live, and how can you choose what components each IS has?
Yes, so out of the box with Integration Cloud comes with stages predefined. Now, when you create a solution, you will then need to create a solution in each stage. So we provide some nice UIs for you to be able to do that. You switch your context into this test stage, and then you'll need to configure again the landscape solution for a given stage. So that landscape solution could vary between stages, and as you switch contexts, you'll just need to make sure that you configure your landscape per that stage. And you just need to do that once, and then you can start promoting packages really easy between stages with that landscape in place and configured. So that configuration is just really straightforward through our UI.
So you should, when you're doing a landscape, you can create a stage each time?
Yes. You create the landscape first, you change your stage context, and you have to recreate the landscape in a given stage. And then you just use our promoting tool to push packages, which component each IS has. Where you choose the component and you just promote it to that particular stage.
Okay, and you can drag the assets between them?
Yeah, you select the asset and you'll want to choose promote to move them between.
Great. I think that brings us to the end of our questions. We're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up. Feel free to add a question right now because we still have time before the hour is up. And also, let me tell you again, as Anne-Marie pointed out, that we're very open to answering questions after the fact if they occur to you once the session has concluded. So please take note of both Paul and Anne-Marie's contact information from the previous screen and again right here. That said, I think we do have an additional question, or at least a two-part question, actually. In 10.3, we are planning to move with ActiveMQ rather than UM. Currently, we have Broker. Do you have cloud support for ActiveMQ?
We don't at the moment, but maybe this is one of the areas we can partner on, so feel free to kind of reach out to us as we bring more runtimes to this environment for places that you think will be really beneficial to you. We'd love to kind of build a partnership there to ensure that this gets added to our integration cloud landscape.
Great. And with that, I want to thank once again Paul Fisher and Anne-Marie Bond for this really interesting, really exciting presentation of cloud deployment. We have other ones coming up. Starting in 2019, we will be looking at B2B cloud. We hope you'll join us for that. More information to come, robotic process automation, and also something very interesting, low-code IoT, which is part of the Dynamic Apps tool and platform. So till then, and we will alert you about new webinars coming up. Have a great rest of the day and a great holiday season.